Some people are asking God for a larger platform while ignoring the cracks beneath their own feet. They want more followers, more authority, more money, more recognition. But my friends, an increase is not always a blessing if the structure receiving it is weak. Sometimes the most merciful answer is, not yet. Consider a bridge. Before heavier traffic is permitted to cross it, engineers test its capacity. Why? Because a bridge may look impressive and still be unable to carry weight. Paint cannot strengthen steel. Appearance cannot replace structure. Consider a container. You may possess something valuable to pour, but if the container is cracked, the very thing meant to bless others will be lost. The problem is not what was poured. The problem is what was trusted to carry it. Write this down. Access reveals gifting, but sustained trust reveals character. What did I say? Access reveals gifting, but sustained trust reveals character. Influence is not the enemy. Ambition is not automatically evil. Your gift was given to serve a purpose, solve a problem, and benefit people. But influence without inner government becomes dangerous. If you cannot govern your appetites, your emotions, your words, and your private decisions, then public authority will not cure you. It will enlarge whatever already controls you. Now watch the sequence. Your gift attracts attention. Attention creates opportunity. Your conduct under that opportunity forms a pattern. That pattern establishes either confidence or suspicion. And over time, trust determines whether your influence becomes lasting service or painful collapse. Promotion, therefore, is not proof of preparation. A door opening only proves that a door opened. It does not prove that your character is ready for everything behind it. So here's my question, and do not answer it quickly. If the opportunity you keep requesting arrived today, which private weakness would it magnify? Your need for praise, your anger, your relationship with money, your inability to receive correction, your desire to control people. Do not be frightened by the question. Let it protect you. Preparation is not punishment. Correction is not rejection. Private development is the mercy that strengthens you before public responsibility places weight upon you. We are going to define character, examine the pressures that expose it, and build a practical plan for strengthening it. But first, we must separate four words people constantly confuse: gift, charisma, influence, and leadership. They are related, but they are not the same. Let us begin with the first word, gift. A gift is a capacity placed within a person that enables that person to produce value, solve a problem, or meet a need. You may have a gift for speaking, organizing, designing, teaching, building, or understanding people. A gift answers the question, what can you produce? But a gift does not answer the question, can you be trusted? That brings us to charisma. Charisma is the ability to attract attention, create connection, and make people receptive. A charismatic person can enter a room and change its atmosphere. People listen, people remember, people respond. But please understand this. Attraction is not evidence of integrity. A magnet can pull metal toward itself, but it cannot tell you what the metal will become after it arrives. Write this down. Charisma gathers people. Character determines what happens to them. The third word is influence. Influence is the ability to affect another person's thinking, decisions, or direction. You do not need a title to have influence. A parent has influence. A friend has influence. A teacher, an employee, and even a child can have influence. The question is not whether you influence people, you do. The question is where your influence is taking them. Now we come to leadership. Leadership is not merely attracting followers. Leadership is the deliberate use of influence to move people toward a worthy future. That definition requires two things: service and destination. If you can move people but have nowhere worthy to take them, you are not leading. You are merely collecting attention. And now the governing word, character. Character is the dependable agreement between what you claim to believe and what you repeatedly do, especially when doing right is costly, inconvenient, or unseen. Character is not what you announce. Character is what your choices confirm. Do not confuse character with reputation. Reputation is the picture other people currently carry of you. Character is the pattern your conduct is actually creating. Reputation may be polished in an afternoon. Character is built through repeated decisions. Watch the chain carefully. Beliefs produce values. Values guide decisions. Repeated decisions become habits. Habits establish character. Character produces either confidence or caution in the people around you. That is how trust is built, and that is how trust is destroyed. You can speak confidently and still lack character. You can be popular and still lack character. You can receive an opportunity and still lack character. Image can persuade people to begin trusting you, but only consistent conduct gives that trust a safe place to remain. Say this to yourself: being noticed is not the same as being trustworthy. Do you see the difference now? A gift produces value. Charisma attracts attention. Influence affects direction. Leadership moves people toward a worthy future. Character governs whether all four become instruments of service or weapons of harm. But now an uncomfortable question appears. If character is so essential, why does gifting often become powerful long before the gifted person becomes safe enough to carry its consequences? That is the dangerous gap we must examine next. That distance has a name. I call it the growth gap. It is the distance between what you are capable of producing and what you are mature enough to steward. Your gift may be recognized in a moment. You sing one song, deliver one presentation, solve one difficult problem, and suddenly people notice you. But maturity is not discovered in one performance. Maturity is constructed through decisions, sacrifice, correction, and time. That is why applause can be dangerous. Applause rewards what people can see. It celebrates the result, but it cannot examine the motive. It hears the speech, but it does not know how you treat people after the microphone is turned off. It admires the achievement, but it may know nothing about the promises you keep breaking. For example, a person may communicate brilliantly but become angry whenever corrected. Gifted. Yes. Ready. Not necessarily. Another person may possess extraordinary vision but repeatedly fail to honor commitments. Impressive ideas. Unreliable conduct. Another may appear generous in public while neglecting private responsibilities. The audience sees the gift. The people closest to that person carry the consequences of the character gap. Now watch this. A larger platform does not manufacture a new person. It multiplies the reach of the person who already exists. If you are humble, influence gives humility more room to serve. If you are insecure, influence gives insecurity more people to control. If you are disciplined, opportunity expands your contribution. If you are careless, opportunity expands the damage. Write this down. Visibility enlarges patterns. It does not erase them. This is why obscurity is not always an insult. Resistance is not always an enemy. Delay is not always rejection. Some seasons without applause teach you whether you can remain faithful without being celebrated. They expose your dependence on approval. They strengthen endurance. They give you room to correct privately what might destroy trust publicly. You become frustrated because the door has not opened, but have you considered what is behind that door? Responsibility is behind it. Pressure is behind it. Decisions affecting other people are behind it. The door may be protecting both you and them while your foundation is strengthened. So examine yourself. Where has your capability outgrown your discipline? You can speak, but can you listen? You can earn money, but can you govern it? You can receive authority, but can you share it? You can inspire relationships, but can you maintain them? You can feel deeply, but can you control your reaction? Do not measure readiness only by what you can do. Measure it by what you can be trusted to carry. Your gift and your maturity do not automatically grow at the same speed. If maturity does not appear automatically, then it must be built deliberately. And that construction begins in the routines no audience sees. So how is maturity built? Through self-government? Self-government is the ability to direct your thoughts, appetites, emotions, and actions according to principle instead of temporary feeling. If your feelings decide what you do, then your feelings are governing you. If praise controls your effort, praise is governing you. If anger controls your mouth, anger is governing you. And you are asking to govern other people. My friends, before leadership becomes public authority, it must become private order. Dramatic moments reveal character, but ordinary routines build it. When the crisis arrives, you do not suddenly become disciplined. You reach for the pattern you have practiced. The visible test merely introduces the world to the person your private habits have been constructing. First, keep small promises. If you said you would call, call. If you accepted a responsibility, complete it. If you gave your word, do not wait until someone reminds you. Every agreement between your words and actions strengthens reliability. Every careless promise teaches people to discount what you say. Second, finish when excitement disappears. Anybody can begin while emotions are high. Maturity appears when repetition becomes boring, recognition is absent, and the work is still unfinished. Purpose must be stronger than mood. Otherwise, your future will be governed by whichever feeling visits you that morning. Third, admit mistakes promptly and accurately. Do not decorate the mistake with excuses. Do not hide half the story. Do not blame the person who discovered it. An error may damage confidence, but dishonesty converts an error into a character problem. A trustworthy person can say, I was wrong. This is what happened. This is how I will repair it. Fourth, manage your appetites. Appetite is not only about food. It includes attention, spending, pleasure, comfort, and the desire to be admired. Self-control is the ability to refuse something pleasant now because it threatens something valuable later. That is not punishment. That is protection. Fifth, serve without recognition. Do something useful that cannot improve your image. Help when no announcement will be made. Contribute when your name will not appear. That test reveals whether you love the assignment or merely love being associated with it. Now examine your inputs. What do you repeatedly watch? What voices do you repeatedly hear? What story do you rehearse in your mind when someone offends you? You cannot continually feed comparison, resentment, and distraction into your inner life and expect wisdom to emerge automatically. What enters repeatedly will eventually influence what exits instinctively. Watch the sequence. Consistent choices create stability. Stability produces reliability. Reliability earns trust, and trust makes influence safe. So here's the private question. What are you permitting in secret that would make your public influence unsafe if it became a permanent habit? Do not answer for your image. Answer for your future. Write this down. Routine is rehearsal for responsibility. What you repeat today is training you for what you will carry tomorrow. Private discipline prepares the structure, but preparation is not complete until the structure carries weight. And that weight arrives in the form of pressure. Pressure is the examination room of character. When engineers test a structure, they place it under load. The weight does not invent every weakness in the structure. It reveals where the strength is genuine and where reinforcement is required. Pressure works the same way in a human life. But pressure has two functions. First, it exposes what is already present. Second, when you respond according to principle, it develops greater endurance. Pressure can reveal you, and pressure can train you. The deciding factor is how you respond. Let us examine 5 tests. The first is the truth test. Can you report reality accurately when honesty may cost you approval, money, status, or convenience? It is easy to tell the truth when the truth makes you look good. Character appears when the facts threaten your image. Suppose someone gives you credit for work you did not complete. The misunderstanding benefits you. Do you correct it? Suppose a report contains an error that protects your decision. Do you disclose it? Truth is not merely refusing to speak a lie. Truth is refusing to use a false impression as shelter. Write this down. If your image requires distortion, your image has become your master. The second is the money test. Money reveals priorities because it converts values into decisions. How do you handle resources entrusted to you? Are you transparent? Can you exercise restraint? Can you give without turning generosity into a performance? Does personal benefit quietly control decisions that should serve the mission? Generosity is not a gimmick. It is not a bargain used to manipulate people, impress an audience, or purchase spiritual power. Genuine giving flows from settled values. It becomes a pattern of stewardship, not a public transaction designed to produce applause. The third is the loyalty test. Loyalty is faithfulness to people, purpose, and principle. But loyalty is not protecting wrongdoing. It is not demanding silence. It is not calling every disagreement betrayal. A leader without character says, if you are loyal to me, you will never question me. A leader with character says, if you are loyal to the purpose, Help me protect it even from my own blind spots. That is maturity. The fourth is the criticism test. What happens inside you when someone corrects you? Insecurity converts correction into attack. Pride attacks the messenger before examining the message. Maturity does something different. It asks, is there truth here that can make me better? That does not mean every criticism is accurate. Discernment is still necessary. But you cannot evaluate a message fairly while your emotions are governing the courtroom. Your feeling may be real without deserving immediate authority. Anger may be real. Embarrassment may be real. Disappointment may be real. But a temporary emotion must not be permitted to create permanent damage. Pause, listen, examine, then respond according to principle. The fifth is the control test. Can you delegate meaningful responsibility? Can you share information? Can you tolerate another person becoming highly competent? Can people disagree with you respectfully without losing access, opportunity, or relationship? Authority exists to coordinate service. Control exists to eliminate uncertainty, competition, and accountability. They may look similar for a moment, but their fruit is completely different. Authority organizes people for a purpose. Control arranges people around the leader's fear. Now build 5 columns in your mind. Under pressure, do you choose concealment or truth? Consumption or stewardship? Favoritism or principle? Defensiveness or learning? Domination or service? Do not answer according to your intentions. Answer according to your patterns. Everybody intends to have character until character becomes expensive. And if you fail one of these tests, do not build a false image. Failure is information. It shows you where repair is required. Tell the truth. Accept correction. Strengthen the weak area. A revealed crack can be reinforced. A protected crack becomes a future collapse. Pressure becomes destructive when you defend the weakness instead of allowing it to be corrected. These 5 tests reveal whether you can govern yourself, but they reveal something else as well. They show what your leadership is producing in other people. Are they becoming stronger, wiser, and more responsible, or more fearful, dependent, and attached to your personality? That result separates service from personality-centered influence. We define leadership as influence deliberately used to move people toward a worthy future. Now add one word to that definition: service. Service is the test of how power is used. Power can develop people, or power can make people dependent. Both may attract followers, but they produce completely different futures. Healthy influence increases another person's judgment, competence, courage, and responsibility. When people spend time under healthy leadership, they learn to think. They become capable of making decisions. They grow confident enough to tell the truth. They begin carrying responsibility without waiting for constant supervision. Counterfeit influence does the opposite. It centralizes information, decisions, and recognition around one personality. Everyone must ask the leader. Everyone must please the leader. Everyone must wait for the leader. The organization may look active, but the people remain immature because dependence has been mistaken for loyalty. Think about a gardener and a performer. A gardener works so that something else can grow. The gardener does not become jealous when the plant becomes fruitful. That fruit is the evidence that the gardener's work succeeded. But a performer needs every eye fixed on the stage. If attention shifts to someone else, the performer feels threatened. Why? Because the objective was not growth. The objective was attention. Write this down. True leadership is not proven by how many people need you. It is proven by how many people grow because of you. Charisma-centered leadership often confuses loyalty to the mission with loyalty to the individual. The leader begins to believe, if you question me, you oppose the purpose. No, my friend. Sometimes the most loyal person in the room is the one courageous enough to protect the purpose from your blind spot. So examine the people around you. Are they becoming stronger and more truthful? Or are they becoming cautious, flattering, and afraid? Do they bring you honest information? Or only information that preserves your mood? Are they learning to carry responsibility or learning how to remain close to your approval? A service-centered leader practices 4 things. First, explain the reason behind important decisions. Information develops judgment. Second, Delegate meaningful responsibility, not merely unwanted tasks. Responsibility develops competence. Third, welcome sincere questions. Questions may expose weakness, but they also protect the mission from unexamined assumptions. Fourth, celebrate another person's success without feeling diminished. If their growth threatens your identity, you were not developing a successor. You were collecting an admirer. A successor is not evidence that you are becoming unnecessary. A successor is evidence that your influence has reproduced maturity. A healthy leader does not build a throne that nobody else can approach. A healthy leader builds people who can continue serving when the leader is absent. Performance asks, how did I appear? Purpose asks, what became better in the people and work entrusted to me? Name one person who should become more capable because of your influence. Now identify one meaningful responsibility you can share to help that person grow. Do not merely give instructions. Give context, permission, and appropriate support. Trustworthy influence produces mature people, not permanent dependents. Yet even a leader committed to developing others has blind spots. Success and admiration can make those blind spots harder to detect. That is why influence needs an intentional structure for correction. When a road approaches a dangerous turn, engineers do not wait for a vehicle to leave the road before installing a guardrail. The guardrail is placed there in advance because wisdom does not merely respond to disaster. Wisdom builds protection before disaster arrives. That is accountability. Accountability is not public humiliation. It is not one person controlling another person's life. It is not occasional advice that you accept only when it agrees with you. Accountability is an agreed structure that gives trustworthy people and sound processes permission to question decisions, examine patterns, and require appropriate correction. Write this down. Accountability is not an attack on authority, it is protection for authority. Admiration can become dangerous when the people who respect you become afraid to challenge you. They see the contradiction, but they say nothing. They notice the pattern, but they protect your mood. They possess information that could save the mission, but the culture has taught them that silence is loyalty. So here is the decisive question. Who can tell you no without being punished, removed, or labeled disloyal? Do not tell me that you are accountable to everyone. That usually means you are accountable to no one. Accountability must have names, access, and regularity. The first layer is relational. You need peers or mentors who know enough about your private reality to identify contradictions. They must know more than your results. They must be permitted to ask about your habits, motives, relationships, and reactions. An admirer celebrates what you produce. An accountable relationship also examines what you are becoming. The second layer is structural. Important areas must not depend entirely on one person's discretion. Money needs transparent procedures. Major decisions need review. Conflicts of interest need disclosure. Authority needs defined limits. Character is personal, but protection must also be procedural. The third layer is protective. People affected by leadership need a safe way to report concerns without retaliation. If the only channel for reporting a leader's conduct is the leader being reported, that is not accountability. That is a locked room with a decorative exit sign. Now watch this. Confession is not the same as repair. Saying I was wrong begins the process. It does not complete it. Repair may require an apology, restitution, change conduct, restored boundaries, and a stronger system that makes repetition less likely. Character does not ask only, how can I be forgiven? Character also asks, how can I repair what my conduct damaged? Accountability does not weaken legitimate authority. It prevents authority from becoming answerable only to itself. It protects the people, the purpose, and the leader's future. So take this assignment. Identify one area you keep concealed. Identify one trustworthy person who has enough maturity to confront you. Then establish one recurring review that brings that area into the light. Not once, regularly. Good intentions are not a structure. Humility must become a practice. But even with guardrails, transparent systems, and honest relationships, one internal danger can corrupt everything. The moment influence stops being a responsibility you carry and becomes the identity you believe you are. The identity trap begins when a leader stops treating influence as an assignment to steward and starts treating it as proof of personal value. That change is subtle. At first, You are grateful for the opportunity. Then you become accustomed to the attention. Soon, you need the attention. Eventually, anything that threatens the attention feels like an attack on your identity. Watch the signs. The first is defensiveness. Every question feels disrespectful. Every correction feels personal. The second is entitlement. You begin to believe your gift should excuse conduct that would be unacceptable in anyone else. The rules are important for ordinary people, but you are too gifted, too busy, or too necessary to be inconvenienced by them. The third is isolation. You withdraw from people who know you honestly and surround yourself with people who know only your position. You collect agreement, withhold information, and call that control wisdom. Then comes the succession sign. Someone near you becomes competent, confident, and respected, and instead of celebrating, you become suspicious. Their growth feels like your replacement. My friends, if another person's success makes you feel smaller, your identity has become attached to being larger than everyone around you. Write this down. Applause is a response to your contribution. It is not the source of your worth. When identity is unstable, applause becomes addictive and silence becomes frightening. You begin choosing what keeps you visible instead of what serves the purpose. You accept assignments that do not belong to you. You refuse to release responsibilities that should belong to someone else. You protect the platform because you no longer know who you are without it. Kingdom leadership begins from belonging and assignment. Your worth is not manufactured by an audience. Your values are not supposed to rise and fall with public response. You are accountable to a higher government than popularity, and your gift is an entrusted capacity, not a private throne. This is why disappointment, obscurity, and criticism can become examinations. They reveal the foundation beneath your confidence. When the door closes, when your name is not mentioned, when someone else is chosen, what happens inside you? Here is the recovery path. Return to private obedience. Receive accurate correction without retaliation. Share credit. Perform useful service without announcing it. Spend time in places where your title carries no advantage. Let purpose become more important than being seen fulfilling it. Now ask yourself, if the platform disappeared tomorrow, but the assignment remained, what would remain of your confidence? Influence is something entrusted to you. It is not the definition of you. We have now diagnosed the danger. The final step is decision. Every principle must become a personal character audit and a practical plan for trustworthy growth. Let us bring the entire principle home. A gift can create access, but character determines what access becomes. In the hands of character, influence becomes service. In the hands of selfishness, it becomes corruption. On a weak foundation, it eventually becomes collapse. So do not ask only, how gifted am I? Ask, how trustworthy am I? Take this audit seriously. Do my words and actions agree? Do I keep small commitments when nobody is checking? Can I admit an error without attaching an excuse? What appetite repeatedly overrules my principles? What happens inside me when I am criticized? Who can correct me without fearing retaliation? Are people becoming stronger through my influence? Can I serve faithfully when there is no recognition? Do not answer these questions with the person you intend to become. Answer them with the evidence of how you currently live. Now separate capacity from visibility. Name one responsibility you are already carrying faithfully. Be honest about that strength. Then name one responsibility that would expose an unprepared area if it were given to you today. Perhaps you could attract the opportunity but not sustain the relationships. Perhaps you could earn the money but not govern it. Perhaps you could receive authority but not share it. Choose one repair, not 10 dramatic promises, one honest repair. For the next 30 days, keep one measurable commitment every day. Govern one appetite that has been overruling principle. Tell one necessary truth you have been avoiding. Invite one corrective conversation with a trustworthy person. Develop one other person by sharing meaningful responsibility instead of merely giving instructions. Then add stewardship. Choose one resource, your time, your money, or an opportunity, and manage it intentionally, give consistently, plan carefully, record what you do. Let responsibility become a rhythm, not an occasional emotional event. At the end of 30 days, review evidence. How many promises did you keep? Which reactions did you govern? What correction did you receive? What trust did you begin repairing? Who became stronger because you shared responsibility? This is not a plan for perfection. It is not image management. The objective is increasing agreement between your convictions and your conduct. Character grows whenever what you believe, what you say, and what you do move closer together. So when you pray for expansion, do not ask only for a larger opportunity. Ask for the discipline to sustain it, the motives to purify it, and the relationships that will keep you accountable within it. Write this final decision. I will not use my gift to escape character. I will build the character that makes my gift trustworthy. Read it again. Your future does not depend merely on being impressive. The future already has enough impressive people who cannot carry trust. It needs leaders whose private lives can support public responsibility, whose influence develops others, and whose conduct remains governed when pressure arrives. Begin today. Keep the first promise. Tell the first truth. Receive the first correction. Share the first responsibility. Your gift may introduce your potential, but your character will decide what your influence becomes.